What do you do with all these chords and how do you remember them to be able to use them on the fretboard? So when you first started, you probably learned some major shapes all right here. And maybe you were unaware that those were all voicings of a chord that actually get stretched across the whole fretboard. So if you picked one of them, the the four others would be a part of a chain that stretches out. So that's the first thing that you want to get your mind around. You can play them all there, but you could also play them all here, 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 any freaking where. That's the biggest thing that you want to get past is they're not all stuck here. You got to get this finger involved to move them around, but that's a whole nother ball game. So let's say you need a place to just kind of tuck those away for storage. There's there's your five major chords right there. Maybe you learn minor chords next. It's helpful to understand that there's chromatic connectivity. If you chose E minor, well then your chromatic E minor shape would be in the same spot as that major. But if you wanted to find the relative chromatic, the relative minor to that major, it wouldn't be that chromatic connection. It's going to be a different one. So first you can see how they're all laid out chromatically. They're all going to be in the same key as that row. But if we want to use the major minor relative connection and have two chords, major, minor, relative, under our hand, different notes, not major, minor of the same note under our hand at any one of these locations, then you will need to move a row. And these rows all move as the scales and the pentatonic shapes, the diatonic shapes, all those shapes can be moved around back and forth. The same thing happens with this chord storage. So let's store the minor chords in a row that is relative. So this whole row gets moved down. And the one that fell off the end there gets brought back around to this side. So now you have relative, major, minor connection. These are no longer chromatically connected. These are not the same note, but they'll be in the same spot. So you could do relative, major, minor in any of these five positions. The same thing's going to happen with other chord types. Here we have suspended chords, 6 chords, 7 chords, 11 chords. They all share a harmonic tonic, just how minor and minor 7 chords, major and major 7 chords, they have such a close tonic to each other that they get a row with those let chords, but not with each other. They get their own row separate from each other. But here's a new row: suspended chords, 6 chords, 7 chords, 13, such. You could line them up chromatically, but it'd be more useful to get a harmonic connection relative so that you have different chords that you can select from. But it could be set up either way. So let's see, here we have that's the harmonic center. It's actually this group here lines up with this group. We've got the harmonic relativity going on there. So then you move into, this is the rest of that group. immediately you get all the rest of that cord lays out and is going to be connected relative to that major and minor. Now you have a relative suspended 6, 11, 7, sus4, all that in a position ready to fall onto the fretboard in one of those 5 positions. Same thing for diminished chords. Let's take a look at which one is the diminished chord. So here we can see the tonic connectivity starts to fall into place. You got that position is relative to that one. So we're going to discover the whole row now. Let's go on 2, position 2, 1, 2, so it'll be 3, 4, 5, because we just had 5 there. We found 4. So we have to find 1 through 5 this way on the rest of this row, and we've discovered the whole grid. Here we've got 5, 4, 5, that won't work. This has to be a 3. So now we've got position 3 into 4, 3 into 4. And this must be the relative to that major, the relative 9, minor 9, and diminished chord. So there's the rest of the row right there. All 5 positions, but in a relative connection to that row, not chromatically. It won't be just E, 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 E. If you chose an E shape here, you wouldn't automatically get E every chord type across the fretboard. Here we've mixed it up to find relative connections, and you'll get a whole row of E's, C's, G's, B's, flats and sharps based on the key, but you'll get a mix based on relative connection in each of those 5 shapes. So we just did the diminished chords, minor 6s. Lastly, you've got major 9 chords. They get their own layer. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going this way that lines up with all the rest of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, because it has to connect in positions. So here we've got position 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, back to 2, and then 2, 3. Going this way, it works if we go 1, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you have 5 rows of chord types, all the voicings laid out, ready to use within 12 frets of the fretboard, but you're ready to move to a new row based on harmonic connection of relativity, or you can move it back and get that chromatic connection and grab a chord anywhere on the fretboard, same note type. So here we have the grid of the guitar algorithm, and if you want to follow along with how this works, you can check out the book on Amazon, The Guitar Algorithm, and it will explain this in further detail, and you'll have your own copy of the layers. After this, we can start to see how it's still going in a chromatic fashion left to right. Even though we mixed up relative, we only changed that going this way. It was going chromatic both ways. Now it's going chromatic this way still and harmonic this way. So in order to get harmonic this way, what do we need to do? Well, The voicings are just going to switch direction. What happens then, instead of the same note going across the fretboard, now we're going to get 5 different notes raised fourth each jump, but 5 different notes. And if we do that to the whole grid, we will get the algorithm no longer in natural chromatic order and no longer in relative chromatic order, where you have one row going chromatically and the other row going relative, but you'll get a harmonic order both directions. So it's pretty interesting, the guitar algorithm.